they want to beat Amazon. They got to provide an experience that they can't get at Amazon.
If there's more to it than just the product, and if you're really connected to what it is you're really selling, then you can absolutely win in your category.
Hey everybody, welcome back to SUBTA Studios. Chris George here, your SUBTA chairman. I've got the awesome privilege of having AlexBrown here with My Green Fills and co-founder of Dollar Beard Club. Alex, thanks so much for being on, man.
Thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Of course, and me and Alex met back at SubSummit. I think that was a couple of years ago. We had you come speak. You've built some amazing brands and done some amazing things in the subscription space. If you could, just give us a quick background on yourself and where you're at today and a little bit more about you.
Yeah, I'll do my best to make it quick for everyone. I've been in e-commerce for, I guess, over 6 years now. Started mainly in the crowdfunding space. So my business partner and I we were really good at coming up with ideas and kind of branding a product and creating this like launch campaign around it. We then crowdfunded a project called Coolbox, which was this smart tech involved toolbox. It had speakers and lights and pass-through power and all sorts of cool bells and whistles. Our campaign did really well. We did almost $500,000, which kind of piqued the interest of the Shark Tank producers. And my business partner, Chris, was on Shark Tank for that. So again, that company eventually didn't end up becoming anything. It was very capital intensive, learned a lot of hard lessons about margins and engineering complicated products. And sort of on the back of that, we were working on this really fun idea that we really love. We all had beards and were like living naturally and stuff like that, but beard oil was super expensive that we were finding. And, we were like, we should probably be able to find, a contract manufacturer that could make good stuff for cheap and sell it to the masses instead of sort of the smaller operations that we were seeing out there. And nobody had really done the antithesis of Dollar Shave Club, which was Dollar Beard Club. So it absolutely took off. It went viral. We were kind of all over the news. We had Product Hunt and then Reddit, and basically every news blog was starting to pick up the story because it was a fun business, right? And then so we had the opportunity to take something that was like fun and viral and try and turn it into a business. And we'd, like I said, started a lot of things before, but hadn't really brought them through. So as you know, this is where all the hard lessons in like operations come in and, getting super behind on orders or your website going down. We kind of experienced all those growing pains. And, the first year of the business, we did 10 million in sales and slowly kind of crept up from there and built a really stable, awesome business from it. And 2 years ago, I stepped back from the business. So did my business partner, actually, and we let another couple guys sort of buy in to run the business who are running it fantastically. So I'm still very sort of minority partner in the business, but get to watch it from afar and help where I can. And all the mistakes that I was just talking about in terms of ordering the wrong things, ordering too much, pretty much you name the mistake, we made it. I started to help other companies avoid those mistakes. Which kind of made them more valuable to me and feel a little better when somebody else could benefit from it. So, been speaking at events like SubSummit and been consulting for a bunch of different companies. And the last year I've been running growth at My Green Fills. So that's been an amazing experience too. Very cool mission-oriented company. They have all sorts of really pure, non-toxic products delivered in highly concentrated refill format. So it's very low waste, sustainable. And they're vertically integrated. So Beard Club, we didn't do any of our own production or fulfillment. They do that at My Green Fills. So it's been a whole cool new learning experience for me, kind of hopping behind the wheel of someone else's business and learning the ins and outs of things I hadn't before, but also being able to apply what I learned. So
going back to what you're saying, none of those are they're all learning experiences, right? Like everything you do. And I think so many people are afraid of failing, but the truth is, like, you learned so much from those other businesses that you applied them to Dollar Beard Club. You then take what you learned from Dollar Beard Club and you're applying them to these other businesses like My Green Fill. So, it's all a learning experience. Nothing's a failure. It
is. It's also really easy though to sort of glorify failure a little too much, or just kind of be like, oh yeah, let's fail forward and fail often. It's very true. But I'm also realistic about how much it hurts when it does happen. You know it too. Like it still hurts real bad.
Yeah.
Financially, emotionally, it can be a little crippling. But like you said, this is kind of the journey you're on, and you look back and you can connect the dots when you look back and you are now and be okay with it. Or will be someday, hopefully.
You talked about a lot of your success coming to the branding, and we know how important that can be, right? I mean, you could have a great product, the branding could suck, and it doesn't sell a single product. I mean, just because you build a website doesn't mean anybody's going to it. But building a brand means a lot of different things, right? Tell me a little bit more about that and what that means to you.
I mean, there's definitely there's a lot of people that kind of operate right now in sort of the Amazon space or drop shipping space. So they're on the fringe of e-commerce really, and they want to start building a brand, or maybe they're affiliate marketers, right? So to me, I really love Ezra Firestone's definition of it is really like, the measure of a brand is when people are coming back and buying more from you. And there's all sorts of definitions of what a brand is, but I really think it comes down to a story, and it's a story that you're telling your customers, and it's a story that they're telling themselves when they're buying or when they're using your product. And really importantly, it's a story that they're telling to each other. So that's kind of what I've come to understand in dissecting the success we've had at Beard Club and getting to work with so many different brands, is that they have a story to tell. And that's based around this idea of why they exist, right? It's not just making money that becomes a byproduct. And I'll be honest, we started Beard Club to make money, but it became more than just money once we started to realize what it was we were really selling. It wasn't just beard oil. It was, confidence. It was connection.
Yeah, lifestyle.
Which right now is huge. A lifestyle, an identity, an aspiration, right, of who they wanted to be. And when you really connect with that, it affects the way that, like I said, the way you speak to people, the way your marketing communicates to them. When you really connect with that why of you, the reason why you exist, the what and the how and the who, those seem to really get a lot more clear, right? And they present themselves in a myriad of ways, but it all starts with that kind of single question, and you get to build your story around it.
Yeah. I think too, with a good brand, you're connecting with the consumer, right? And you're building a relationship with the consumer. And it's also why I think subscriptions work so well, because you're building a relationship with the consumer, and you want to be able to, it's how you're communicating with them and how you're saying, like in your case with My Green Fills or with the Dollar Beard Club, like you don't want them to get any of that product anywhere else but through you, and keeping that consumer engaged, building the brand around it. Even the brand, customer service is part of the brand, right? Like if your customer service is really good, it's part of your brand, brand profile. So I think it's, I agree with you. It's super important. I agree with you that the drop shipping companies and the Amazon sellers, these are sort of just on the cusp of e-commerce. I mean, they're purely transactional.
Yeah.
Right? There's no brand identity there. So with My Green Fills, what are some of the things you're doing to sort of set that brand apart from everybody else?
So Steven, the founder of that business, has been kind of really good early on at, the story being around a number of things, which is sustainability. So like I said, it comes in very concentrated packages that you mix at home with water. For example, laundry detergent's mostly water, right? So we sort of cut out the packaging. The other thing that has been probably the most successful is that his formulas are really, really super healthy. Well, not healthy, like you wouldn't want to drink them like a protein shake, but when it comes to non-toxic, there's really nothing like it on the market, right? So we're able to connect with people that have that same value. And so that's typically what we lean into, are those two things. He's also very big on giving back. And this creates a number of opportunities to tell that story that we can kind of lean into as well. Not that you only give back because you can talk about it. That's kind of like the big corporate social responsibility thing where they're like, hey, let's cut a check so we can make a commercial about it. Like do stuff that actually you care about, right? And work it into your supply chain. So for example, one of our products, a dryer angel, which I have one near, but it's hand sewn by two groups of women, and something that you kind of refill, you put in your dryer. It helps to make your clothes softer, smell really nice, take out a bit of static. Just a fantastic product, right? But it's hand sewn by two different groups of women. One of them are women who have been sort of like rescued from the sex trade, and from, those industries, and given sustainable jobs in creating that product. And the same, there's another group of women in Jamaica that are quite marginalized. I guess the deaf aren't treated very well whatsoever in Jamaica. And so they're given sustainable employment sewing and making dryer angels, right? So those are two kind of concurrent suppliers that we have. Obviously, our margins are a lot thinner than if we were just making them in China, and sort of mass producing them, or anywhere for that matter, right? But because they're hand sewn, because we have a little postcard that talks about where they come from and what it means to the person making it, someone on the other end opens it, and you said it earlier, like customer experience is a huge part of brand, right? Like it bridges everything together, like acquisition, retention. They finally open their box and they see that, they're like, oh wow, this is something that I'm really glad I bought, right? It's something I'll support again and again, because I know it's more than just, bounty sheets on the shelf. This is something completely different. And importantly, getting back to the story, right, that's the story that they then tell to someone else, right? And that's a set of ears and eyes that we don't have to pay Mark Zuckerberg to reach, for example, right? A personal recommendation of that story is going to go above and beyond that, right?
Yeah, it's like the Tom Shoes, right? Tom Shoes success.
Exactly.
Building the tribe, Seth Godin talks about that. But essentially, everybody that bought a pair of shoes became a salesperson for them. Because you'd be like, yo, those are cool shoes. Where did you get them? Your response is going to be, oh, these are Tom's. Yeah, they're pretty cool. They were $50. And guess what? They give a pair to a person in need, right? Like, they become a salesperson for you. So I think that's super important. I also think what's really smart about what you're doing is this new wave of consumers, and the new wave of consumer buying behavior, and the way they're thinking about sustainability is more than ever, right? These new generations, especially these millennials, and you got this Generation Z, they're thinking about sustainability. They're looking at how you're giving back. They're more than likely to support those companies than any other generation, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, they believe in this story, and people are hungry for that, right? The other option is the race to the bottom, and the only person who wins is the one in control of the monopoly, and that word starts with an A. So that's kind of a dark cloud that hangs over all of our heads right now, is how do we compete with same day shipping that costs $0 and the lowest prices? Well, you don't try and compete with that. You do your own thing, and you tell a story that someone's willing to buy and invest in a quality product that they know is made by a real person, for example, or made locally. That's a huge one right now that we're feeling is, people want to support local companies, right? For good reason. They're seeing what's happening all around their cities and towns. They're seeing their friends that have had businesses, either go out of business or are struggling really hard. So, I think that there already has been a shift in consumer behavior towards this. I think it's going to intensify as time goes on too, over the next couple of years. I think the next big challenge after the current one is really the environmental sustainability issue of how do we survive with all these people on this planet, and keep everyone fed and give people meaningful work. So that's a story that people are really going to care about. And right now, if you can shape your business around giving back, around environmental issues and sustainability, it is like a differentiator, right? It's like a marketing sort of advantage. I think within 10 years, it won't be. I think that's just going to be the new normal, which is good, right? I think that's really good. What do you think it'll be in 10 years then?
I don't think it's going to be like mandated that every company gives back. I think this is kind of an issue we run into is, let's try and create legislation to make companies work a certain way. Then there's always kind of loopholes and cheating and all of that stuff. I think it really does take a shift in consumer behavior. And I think that what we might be going into economically, which still hasn't quite shaken out yet, which is very surprising. But what we might be going into economically over the next couple of seasons will kind of turn people towards supporting those kind of businesses and those stories.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing, right? It's not like, maybe there's a day when Amazon will get broken apart by the government. They're already over half of US transactions, probably way more now. Yep. But what it really takes is for people like you and me to cancel our Amazon account, That's
Yeah.
all it takes. It doesn't
Yeah.
take any legislation whatsoever.
Oh yeah, I think that, and to the brands. See, the brands need to understand that they can provide they want to beat Amazon, they got to provide an experience that they can't get at Amazon, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, the success of Chewy.com was you couldn't call an Amazon rep and say, my dog is a husky that weighs 95 pounds and is having joint issues. What should he take? But you couldn't call a rep and ask.
Yeah.
You could call a rep at Chewy and they would tell you. They would recommend these products. They'd give you an experience they couldn't get. With My Green Fills, I'm assuming that you're putting out a lot of content on how environmentally friendly you are and why you should transition to this product, where Amazon's just transactional. It's just, you go buy. Right?
Yeah.
There's no experience. It comes in a brown box, and it's fulfilling this need of replenishing items that you want maybe on a monthly or daily basis. But there's no like I don't get excited when my Amazon box is at my front door. But you're right. I think it's two parts. It's the brands building an experience that you can't get on that level.
Yeah.
And then consumers shifting their buying behavior away from Amazon. Because you're right, they are probably 60-70% of online purchases now.
It's pretty insane, but again, there's always opportunity in there, right? And I think what Amazon does really well on a customer service side is that transactional side, right? Like they just have such tremendous volume. They're able to offer really quick delivery. They're able to, process refunds really quick. They don't even have like a for-profit business model for the amount they transact. It's pretty insane, right? It's kind of harmful to the rest of us. But at the same time, they can't specialize, right? They can't go deep like Chewy did in the example you just mentioned, right? And that's where the advantage is for finding and solving a real issue is not something Amazon could ever duplicate. They could maybe, duplicate your product and offer it at a lower price. But if there's more to it than just the product, and if you're really connected to what it is you're really selling, then you can absolutely win in your category.
Yeah, for sure.
Welcome to SFG. For over 30 years, we have been providing technology and operational solutions to help our partners grow their business.
We work with more than 250 brands and 68 different subscription box programs, shipping tens of millions of pieces each year.
We pack each box with care, creating an unboxing experience that will delight your customers.
We look forward to partnering with you.
What I'd like to get into now is you've built a brand. You're having success. There's two really key points into every subscription business that I think a lot of brands potentially fail at. One is identifying LTV and ways to increase it, and how important retention is. Tell me your thoughts around those.
The two are very much linked. I've spoken to, this is an interesting time to have this conversation too, because I've spoken to a number of my peers in the subscription industry, and almost everyone has a cancellation survey of sorts when you get to a certain size, which is trying to identify why are people leaving, right? And now pretty much with everyone I know, we're all seeing the reason of like, I can't afford it rise, which is, it really sucks. It's tragic. It's sort of indicative of people losing their job, right? So now more than ever, I believe it's going to be tougher to retain customers. I think potentially looking at LTV on a longer term basis is potentially a healthier way to look at it. At one end of the spectrum, there's sort of the direct response subscription companies that are like, we're going to give you, it's pretty much illegal to do all this stuff now, but we'll give you a free trial of this male enhancement pill. And then in 2 weeks, you're going to be billed $90. And then 2 weeks after that, it's like 140. And so they're trying to rush you as many transactions as possible. I think on the other side of that is like, hey, we would like to build your trust, right? Here's this offer to try us out. We're going to put you on this billing model. And if it doesn't work for you, no worries, right? We'll just try and we'll be friends over time, and hopefully you'll buy something from us again. I think trying to combine those two and offering a subscription plan of the essentials that that person wants or needs, but also not being afraid to market to them, right? And say, hey, you're one of our subscribers, or maybe you've put yours on hold, but we have this offer for Black Friday, or we have this cool new product coming out. We have this partnership that we just launched where we're doing like a, sort of 2-in-1 deal on our next box, right? I think building a really strong relationship with your customer, you obviously don't want to be too pushy, I don't think, but if they like your product, they have a good experience with you, they know what you're about, kind of going back to that why, they're bought into your why, they think you're authentic, then don't be afraid to sell them more stuff, right?
Yeah.
so
Upsell, check out, things like that. Email.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, upsells are absolutely huge for most companies. Oftentimes we will have funnels that perform really well for us that by the time we've paid Mark Zuckerberg or paid our affiliates, we actually sort of like lose money on the front end. But with upsells, we're profitable or we're break even. And many times we actually lose on the entire first transaction, but we know by 90 days we'll actually be really profitable because we've gotten them in the door, they've tried the products, they know it works, they start to trust us, we show them more of what we've got, and they say, oh, I'd like to try this, this, and this. We're not paying for that acquisition. We're getting like a really good cart value every time we do that. Yeah, I mean, I think combining that sort of really focused direct response, let's get as much money as possible, and like, oh, we don't even care if you ever order again, somewhere right in the middle there.
Yeah,
it's like, building a relationship that's strong enough to be able to market to your own people. And I that's really where all the profit lies for any business I've been in is people coming back. It's one of the biggest things I think tend to underestimate is how much it's going to cost us to get a customer. And then what that customer is going to be worth is hopefully more than that by the end of the life cycle. Another thing I think worth mentioning, again, kind of touching back into the whole dirty word Amazon issue is Amazon doesn't care if they ship one thing in a box, but for the rest of us, it's really important that we're getting a good average order value, right? So if somebody is checking out, to your point, upsells and ways to add more to that person's box, even if you're doing it at whatever, 50% off, I'd rather, spend, what I really love is spend X and get this product, right? Because then you're not really discounting the product's value whatsoever. You're just kind of rewarding them with like this high perceived value product. So spend $40, get this $25 product, which hopefully on that $25 product costs you, $5 or $7, right? And you're happy that they spent 40 instead of 20. You'll happily give them 5.
So you like to do the, spend another 30, get a free $25 item.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
I think that tends to work better. People love free stuff, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of, if you are building a brand, you don't always want to be discounting, right? Because then everyone's just kind of looking for the discount deals that you're going to send out and stuff. You don't want to discount the perceived value of your product, right? But that's, I think, why you see so many like buy one, get one free, buy two, get one free offers. And they work, people love free stuff.
Yeah, and true too. The other part of it is if you discount the product, you're more than likely to get a lower quality consumer that's got a higher churn rate.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have a consumer spend $75 and get $150 worth of stuff versus spending $20 and getting $30 worth of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of another one of the reasons why doing things like contests and giveaways can be great for engagement or building an email list, but might not get a lot of buyers out of it.
Yeah. If everybody just stopped discounting, then no one would get discounts. But I mean, you look at some of the brands that don't discount, like Apple, like they don't discount.
Apple,
Lego doesn't discount, and Legos, I mean, the value, #1 toy, right? Like, you can never find those on sale. Yeah. Their value goes up. The product retires. Like I'm a huge Lego collector, so I know this. Yeah. But it's you never find it on sale. And so I can never, if I see it and I want the set, I buy it. I don't like look for a $10 coupon. They don't exist, right? And the higher quality consumer spends the money on Lego. That's why their brand's so good.
And I do think it's worth noting though, with a lot of the brands that never discount, they do have a good amount of like variety or seasonality. Like I think of like Lululemon's a big one. I started buying their clothes and I'm like in love with them now. So I'm like slowly replacing my whole wardrobe because they're just so comfy. but they're really expensive, right?
Yep.
And what they have as an advantage is like they can come out with new products every season, right? Lego can come out with the new Pirates 3D
Lego does
5, 7, 6, 1, 2, 3
Right.
products. You know, like Apple just comes out with a completely pointless new phone 3 times a year that I buy. You know,
Yeah.
so I think there's like a good amount of innovation that needs to be driven there to keep that going. But hey, it works.
And to your point on the Lego, they do the free gift with purchase. They say spend 70, you get this extra, little set.
Yeah.
And that's what gets it. Those sets end up becoming worth a ton of money because they don't actually sell them. So that's a really cool move, is they give you something for free that you can't buy.
And it's the fear of missing out on that product that really drives people too, right? It's the reason why we couldn't find toilet paper in stores back in like March and April. It wasn't because people thought that this virus was going to make them, crap a lot. They just thought they weren't going to be able to get it, right? So they went and bought it like crazy, right? And I've learned a lot through this past process about that buying behavior of the fear of missing out or not being able to get something as a motivating factor. I think it's really important that we be tasteful on how we apply that psychology to our sales messages, but it's very effective. Yeah, extremely effective.
For sure. No, this is great. 2 important things we talked about today was how important branding was, understanding retention and LTV. I like to end our sessions with an expert like yourself giving like 3 keys to success or 3 tips to anybody looking to build a subscription brand that's already in one. If you could, fire off 3 tips to me that you'd give to somebody that you think are super important, a key to success for subscription companies.
Wish I'd prepared ahead of time. Well, I thank you for the kind words, but I hardly consider myself an expert. I still screw things up every day, my man. But so I would say, on the front end, something that I've learned is really, really important is the offer, right? So what is, like we've touched on a few, buy 2, get 1 free, buy 1, get 1. You need to build a bridge from someone not knowing you to someone taking the leap and giving you a try. So you have the opportunity to get, the LTV relationship and the brand relationship. So really figuring out what a solid offer looks like that someone's going to take advantage of. I always say, like, when you look at all the old infomercials, it's kind of funny because they have like the cheesiest offers, right? It's like, hey, it's $1,000, but actually now it's $100. But wait, if you order in the next 10 minits, and they stack on the urgency,
double the amount.
We'll double it. It's always double or triple, right? Yeah. So then you're like, whoa, okay, like that's sort of the offer, and really that's a buy 1 get 1 free, right? Like that's what it is. It's disguised as like this discounted beginning package. Oh wait, but there's more. Right. So that's really important to figure out. And you can have more than 1. If you have 10 products, maybe 2 of your products are great to get in the door with, as a free plus shipping or whatever, although you have to be careful on the customers you attract with that. But, find out what a good offer is to go with. Dollar Beard Club, start with $1 for a beard oil. It costs you $4 to ship something. So maybe I'll also put in this, $8 shampoo and this and that, right? That was our offer, right? So that's one. It's really understanding what the offer is. I think a really great tip that won't cost anyone anything except for some time is pick up the phone and call customers, and do it fairly frequently too, because the tips that you'll learn about, hey, what part of this story I feel like I'm creating for my brand? Like, what about that's resonating? Why did this person buy? Why did this person leave? Why do they want a refund? Why is this person posting about us and telling us that we're gods and that they love us and they love our product? Like, let's just talk to those people. Super, other than your time, it's free and it's super, super helpful. I think the third one, if I could go a little deeper, is something that I really struggle with. It is kind of like, looking at things on a longer timeline, right? It's not like you don't want to have urgency in your business or your life and accomplish things. But I've done a lot of like heavy, really toxic sprinting in my life. Like, got to get this done, right? I don't stand back enough to like see the forest through the trees, and put a lot of pressure on myself and identify with either the success or the failure of my business. But typically if I'm able to take a step back and look at what's going on, see that, like, typically when you do that, you see you're spending a lot of time on things you don't need to spend time on, or mental energy or physical energy on things that really aren't serving you and your purpose. You have to kind of step back in order to see that. But oftentimes we get so caught up, we don't realize that we're doing stuff that's not helping our business, right? So it's really to look at things on a longer timeline, be easier on yourself, and make sure you're stepping away every now and again, and putting things in perspective, and asking yourself, does this really matter? Like, should I be working on this, or should I be, the biggest one for me is, should I be worrying about this? Is this going to matter in even like 3 days time, this issue that I'm facing right now? Does this matter at all on the scale of my life?
Yeah.
And
if everything comes
10 out of 10 times, the answer is no, it doesn't matter. Like, does it at all?
If everything becomes important, then nothing's important, right? Like if you feel like you get everything done right away. Those are great tips. I really love the last two. And I think that's really good advice for entrepreneurs in general and building the subscription business. Alex, this was awesome. I appreciate you being on the show, taking time to chat with me. Your insights here are super valuable, and I'm excited for everybody to hear this podcast. There's some really good stuff in here. So I want to thank you again for being on. Looking forward to seeing you. Hopefully when we get live in Dallas next year, June 2nd, you can come out and
I can't wait to see people again. I'm the most social guy ever. I miss events and getting together. But thank you for having me on this show, for giving me this opportunity. And for anyone who's still listening at this point at the end, thank you for listening to my weird sounding voice this whole time. And I hope it was helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at any point.
Yeah, and we'll add your social channels and stuff so people can follow you after this. And I appreciate it, Alex, and I will talk to you soon, brother.